Just asking her if you can use the school computers today.
Dad, they're rubbish. They don't even work properly.
Well, unless you've got a couple £100 lying about, we've got no choice.
Joseph, why don't you go and clean your teeth, love? Listen, Ches.
Sam, have you took the last fiver?
Yeah, I needed it for a loaf. I put the change back in.
Craig's baked us some bread. He's bringing it round this afternoon. Bread is the last thing we need to spend money on.
Craig bakes bread.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 190 of The Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that, in a week filled with disturbing and speculative spoilers from Charlie Millward, is amazed that nothing predicted Gemma, Bernie, Joseph, Alad, Bryn, Carys and Cleo all ganging up Orient Express style and butchering Chesney for a Sunday roast. I'm Gavin.
And I'm Alina Teeny Weeny.
Well, hello Alina. Very teeny weeny. How are you this morning?
Teeny weeny, teeny tiny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm alright. Still don't have COVID.
How are we avoiding this? I don't know.
Against the odds.
Very much so.
Against the odds, the only person in this house who's had COVID is the person with the least amount of comorbidities. In fact, I don't think she has any comorbidities.
Comorbidities?
Comorbidities.
I don't know what that is.
It's like being overweight, or having ADHD, or having an iron deficiency, all these things that are strikes against you when it comes to fighting deadly disease.
Okay, so another way of expressing that then, the healthiest amongst us is the one who catches COVID.
Right. When supposedly 75% of people, almost everybody who catches COVID has comorbidities, so it's fine. They were dying anyway.
Yeah.
According to some people. Not true.
No, certainly not true for that person.
Well, no. But yes, we continue to dodge that bullet. Yay us. By rarely going out, staying as far away from people as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm at work. God, it's such a difficult thing to remember to do. It turns out. I'm at work a couple of times a week. And we've got to wear our masks when we're walking about. There was talk of us not having to do that starting from the middle of February, but that's been knocked in the head now, so I'm kind of pleased with this. But so when I stand up from my desk and walk away from my desk, I keep on forgetting to
put your mask
put
back
my
on.
mask on. So I was at lunch yesterday.
Never take it off.
I don't like sitting at my desk with it on.
Oh, the kids have to do it.
So,
why not you?
I don't have to do it, so I don't. So I get up to go to lunch, and going to lunch is about a 5-minute walk from my desk. Maybe not even that. Couple of minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. And it's downstairs.
Right.
So I'm in the middle of the dining area thinking about what I'm going to eat when I realise that I don't have my mask on and everyone's looking at me. So rather than just stay there and get my food and then go back up the stairs, I run back up the stairs to get my mask and then go back down the stairs again to get my food.
Just never take it off at work, please.
No, I take it off when I sit down.
Because that's terrifying to me, hearing that story. That story terrifies me.
It was terrifying to realise. I mean, I do it when I'm walking to the bathroom, I forget, but that's just like 50 feet away, so it's not a big deal to like turn and go back. But it was the fact that I just panicked. What do you do?
You never take your mask off.
No, I will. You need to get over this. My mask is coming off when I sit down at my desk. Just deal with it. That's what's happening.
It's terrifying, but that's all right.
Well, it has to be. So yeah.
How are you?
Well, apart from that, I'm fine. This is how busy that I've been. Our little pod track thing here that records the podcast isn't dead, but isn't dead yet.
Right.
There's some weird things going on with it, so I got another one. But I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to set it up.
Right.
In fact, it hasn't come out the box.
Which is fine. Because this one isn't, as you pointed out, this one isn't dead yet.
Isn't
so
dead yet.
Might as well run its course.
I guess. So I'm looking at it like I'm expecting something explosive to happen. So far it's not. So far it's behaving itself.
Well,
so,
that's good.
Yeah. What's keeping you busy? Well, that's a question for another podcast.
That's a different podcast.
Oh, well. Shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that face-covering Corrie news. We're just inventing adjectives at this point.
We are. Condolences to Charlie Condu and his family as his sister died this week of cancer. The actor who played Marcus Dent on the show revealed his sister Nikki had ovarian cancer in 2019. So condolences to the family there.
Indeed.
Awful lot of death of celebrities and death of people related to celebrities going around, and it's only January. Our Sally made her debut on Dancing on Ice this week.
Did.
And she was fabulous.
She was excellent.
Yeah, although nerves nearly got the best of her and she almost pulled out, but not like that. We're glad she didn't, as the 58-year-old actor did a far better job than either of us 40-somethings ever could.
Oh,
So well done, Sally. Keep up the good work. In fact, I almost slipped on the ice taking packages to the garage 20 minutes ago, so...
It's icy out there.
It is icy.
She did a great... A great... It's
not easy. I can't even ice skate.
No, I can't. And I can't inline skate. And I can't roller skate.
I can roller skate,
I can
but that's
barely
about it.
fucking walk. But...
And yet you won't wear a mask.
But there's that doesn't really help me keep my balance or not. I don't know what your mask... I don't know where you're wearing your mask, but where I wear mine doesn't help my balance. So... In this Dancing on Ice show, one of the dancers, one of the celebrities, is a dancer from Strictly.
What?
That doesn't seem very fair. And I know
doesn't.
they're different disciplines, and one of them you're on ice and one of them you're not. But it's like when a pussycat doll goes on Strictly and you think, well, that was part of your job, was to dance.
It's slightly different kinds of dancing, though. It's more ballroom than coochie coochie and hip hop.
I think if
And
you've
shaking
got
your ass.
a background in dance, I think you're a better candidate for transferring those skills into different types of dance
Yeah,
as
I
opposed to
suppose.
somebody who's never danced before in their life. And I think part of the joy of the show comes from watching people like Sally, who isn't a nice skater or
Right.
isn't a nice dancer, and seeing how they develop. Whereas you've got this Brendan Cole character from Strictly who starts off getting 6.5s and 7.5s.
I had no idea that this news piece was going to end in a rant.
It's annoyed me. I was like, I don't think he has any business being on this. He's too good for it.
Well, hold your horses, because finally...
Oh, I'm done? Okay.
Are you?
Sounds like it.
You are. And finally, has Tim's dad traded magic for music in the afterlife?
What? Ghost magic?
Ian Bartholomew appeared on Britain's Got Talent.
He did.
Shocking judges who obviously didn't see his video last year in how beautifully he sings his song about
Oh, so it wasn't just
spousal
magic.
abuse. No, he traded magic for music.
Right.
See, so he's no
I
longer.
think it'd have been funnier if he'd done some magic. So he's singing.
Yes, he's singing that song from his video from last year, and he has said that if he wins Britain's Got Talent, the money will not go to him; it will go to charities that handle spousal abuse. And once again, here we have a celebrity who is kind of known now for singing this wee song, going on a talent show with like ordinary people. Do you think that's fair, Gavin Broom, even if it's for charity?
Well, the charity part of it does have some weight, obviously. But no, I think it is the same thing.
Yeah. And does it sway the judges to keep him on?
Right. Yeah, I think Britain's Got Talent is for people who have dogs that can walk on tight ropes, dance troupes, magicians, ventriloquists, but people that are kind of everyday people People
Right.
like you and I. You going on and singing a song
Yeah.
is different than a celebrity going on and singing a song,
The kids
surely.
are always hounding me that I should go on The Voice. I don't want to go on The Voice, though.
No, don't go on The Voice. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's against the spirit of the show. And I think it's against the spirit of all talent shows. It's like, fuck, it's a terrible example, but imagine if Bono went on The Voice and nobody turned round. Oh, that would be great. See, that's kind of
Oh, God, that would be hilarious.
that's defeating my point. But,
I kind of want to see that.
but you're right, me too. I'm just going to shut up then. I obviously don't know what I'm talking about. I think these talent shows aren't for people who have already demonstrated they've got talent and been paid for it,
Yes. Yeah. Even if it's for charity.
even if it's for charity. Just give the money to charity.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There must be some other way to raise awareness and stuff. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's Corrie News.
No, I'm disappointed.
What?
And now, we'll podcast for coffee. Thank you to Welsh Jackie.
Thank you, Welsh Jackie.
Happy New Year, says Jackie. Bit late, I know. Thanks for continuing to make cleaning toilets bearable. You are so
Very
welcome.
welcome.
And thank you for buying us our coffees this week, Jackie. I'm drinking mine out of the Bannerhead Talk of the Street mug.
Yes, and I'm drinking out of my I Turtlely Love You mug, which is shaped like a turtle. It is my favorite mug of all time.
Is that a new one?
That I bought for myself
We have too many mugs.
because it's shaped like a turtle.
We need to get rid of some of these mugs.
Well, I keep trying to slyly give some of the older ones to Nick, but then he keeps moving back in and they come back.
That's not happening anymore.
No.
We've put a full stop at the end of that.
Yeah, so some of those Star Wars mugs will be going back to Nick's house again soon.
Okay, good.
So
Because we're in the space.
yeah.
Too many glasses, too many mugs.
The mugs and the glasses have kind of taken over the plates and bowls.
They've spread into the plates and bowls.
Upward.
Yep. They've osmosis their way
Right.
through the wood.
Yeah, but one day when Stelly and I were at Goodwill, I saw this and I was like, we have too many mugs, but I have to have this because it's shaped like a turtle.
It looks like a good soup mug.
Yes. All of my coffee mugs would be your soup mugs.
Seen a pattern here.
Because they're massive.
All this distracts from the donation from Jackie. So thank you very much, Jackie. We really appreciate it. If you want to buy us next week's coffee, you can go to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street. And we'll be very appreciative, won't we?
Yes, we will.
And now, our new section of new tubes.
What?
New tubes. We did this last week, remember?
Did we?
This is news of what's new on our YouTube channel this week. And this week's YouTube is a superb cut of the lead up to Roy and Hayley's wedding. So it's all the scenes for the couple of weeks that lead up to the wedding. It's one of my favourites because it ends
With the wedding?
so well. And the wedding kind of goes wrong, and then it
course it
all
does.
goes right in
Right.
the end. And Les Battersby's got horrible transphobic ideas and philosophies that he shares with everyone,
Right.
but gets his comeuppance in the end as well. So by all means, have a little check out of that. And there's
Absolutely.
also started doing a clip of the day, one of my favourite parts of the episodes as they drop. So just pick a scene and add that to our YouTube channel. So this week I've added Mary's murderous Tracy fantasy and Craig being told to get a life. So those two have been added as well. With a great response from people, from our listeners last week, and a number of subscribers has shot up. So we're getting tentatively close to that 100 subscribers that I'm really aiming for and setting for our target. So please go to YouTube, search for the Talk of the Street podcast, or go to the link in our Twitter bio or the clicky section of voggle.co.uk. Smash that subscribe button and then piss all over the bell to get notifications of when new videos will drop. I believe that's what the
Piss
terminology
all over the
is.
bell.
Smash subscribe.
Well, smash, yes.
Piss on the bell.
No.
And now, this.
Oh, welcome.
Well, welcome to Last Year Tonight with me, John Oliver. Just enough time to quickly talk about Senior Muppet.
Is this Steve related?
That's right, this was Sally's reaction to Tim's suggestion of moving to Spain with Faye. Why was he going to move to Spain?
To keep Faye out of prison.
That's right.
That's right.
And I mean it this time.
And you'd think that Sally would be all up for a move to Spain because it would be fancier than Manchester.
Yeah, she's got her eyes on Cheshire and nothing is going to better that, I don't think.
Ugh.
I was Gavin and you didn't catch a word of Tim bought 4,000 wishing himself a happy my birthday. And then you were leaving on a jet plane.
Remember Tim bought 4,000?
Yeah, I haven't hit that button in a while.
No.
I have no idea where it is.
Yes, I was leaving on a jet plane to come home.
That's right.
And here I am.
Happy returns.
Yes, many happy returns.
It was a last from the bathtub session.
Yes.
It was move day on the street, the occupants of numbers 4, 6 and 8 getting ready to flit, but the reintroduction of a friendly gangster may put the kibosh on the whole deal. Yasmeen finds that getting back into the swing of her old life takes more than a couple of pep talks from Alya and Tim's mum. Gail's freedom from the tyranny of David means cleaning a factory and making eggs and soldiers for Nick, and then David. Gemma and Chesney's eternal money woes worsen. That's continued for a while then, hasn't it?
Yes, it
As
has.
Kirk's loan of Christmas money needs repaid, and Sean's contemptible journey to home ownership makes him an even worse human being than normal.
Yeah. And he still doesn't own a house.
Nope, and he's still horrible.
Yes.
Michael turns to his big book of harebrained schemes in an attempt to prevent Grace and his unborn baby moving 100 miles along the M62. Tim's mum tells a sad story about sausages. Aggie needs a foot rub. No one fixes the heating in the bistro, and Ray had better call Saul. Our moment of the week was Faye confessing to the police that she twatted Adam, and a boring moment of the week was Chesney and Gemma being skint. Again. And again.
And again.
And that was Coronation Street and the talk of the street this time last year. Shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
Oh, our first storyline this morning is our last storyline this morning. So our next storyline this morning is Sucks to be Joseph.
Poor kid.
How much does it suck to be Joseph?
Too much. Poor wee thing.
On Monday, Chesney is making a fuss at Joseph, who isn't interested and runs up the stairs for a bath. Chesney reveals to Bernie that he's worried Joseph will do another flit, and plus he has the police coming round later for a follow-up interview.
Dum dum dum.
So a copper turns up to question Joseph about his disappearance, but he sticks to the story that agreed with Hope. Joseph goes upstairs to top up his bath with hot water, which the copper very clumsily accuses Chesney of manufacturing the disappearance to pocket the reward money. Which
is just so convoluted because everybody tries to scrape together a reward. None of the money came from them, obviously, because they are skin. I'm questioning the amounts here of that reward.
It seemed a bit hefty.
Well, no, the fact that the cop says it was 30 grand.
Yeah.
We know 29 grand came from Yasmeen, and yet Dev also put in 3 grand and some other people put in money. So that's over 30 grand.
Oh, I'm not questioning the math in this. I don't really care. But the fact that...
Well, the show should care and be consistent is what I'm saying.
The fact that Dev put in 3 grand, that sounds like that should be it. Because Joseph was only missing, not even for 24 hours.
Oh, no, it was 24 hours.
Well, just. It seemed like an awful lot of money to be put in there very quickly.
Yep.
And then for him suddenly to be found. I don't know. It seemed like an awful lot of money to be
right,
to be
but one of them was like a secret anonymous donation in a bag.
And we don't know if that's Yasmeen or not yet.
We know it's Yasmeen.
We think it is.
Yeah, Yasmeen confirmed it to Alya.
Did she?
Yeah.
I don't think she did.
Anyway, it just... If my kid had gone missing for over 24 hours, for overnight, you know, in January even, and had been safely returned, if like the next day a police officer came and started accusing me of of making it up, I probably would react the same way Chesney did.
I don't think Chesney was unreasonable here.
No.
Get the fuck out of my house, he bellows.
He gets unreasonable later, but here I don't think he's unreasonable at all.
Yeah. So he tells her to get out of the house. Evening out, says the cover, and she leaves.
Yes.
Yes, it's a horrible
It's a lady cop.
lady cop.
Well, yes, Fringe was occasionally horrible as well. So lady cops can also be horrible.
In Devs, we learn that he threw $3,000 into the Joseph Fund too. Gemma and Bernie are blown away by this. Dev uses his goodwill to ask Bernie out, but for some reason, and despite Gemma's affirmative nods, Bernie gives Dev a rain check on that.
Gemma's facial expressions during this whole exchange between Dev and her mum are just hilarious.
Yep.
She is such a good actor when it comes to just physical comedy.
We'll see more of Gemma's facial expressions later with some Tunnock's caramel wafers.
Yes.
At home, Bernie goes off for a shite while Joseph and Hope discuss what they're going to do with the money. Hope has bought a shitload of sweeties to resell and reminds Joseph that the money is a secret.
That's our hope.
Yep.
Such a good businessman.
Bernie comes down from her shite and demands to know what this secret is. And she goes to work on the two of them, and Joseph blurts out that Hope has hundreds of sweeties. Quick thinking Hope explains that these were a gift from Tyrone and Fizz isn't to find out about it. The guilt of a divorced dad makes perfect sense to Bernie, and she lets it go. Bernie takes Joseph to Nina's Rolls and they have a chat about the trainers he wants that conveniently cost £100 because that's how much he got from Curtis.
Right.
Not Curtis, Clint. I have a Faye Amy thing going on with Curtis and Clint.
Think Eastwood and a famous Curtis. Do we know a famous... Curtis Mayfield. So think Eastwood and Mayfield.
That's just going to confuse me further. Bernie asks what's more important. His trainers are putting food in 8 bellies for a week. Trainers, says Joseph.
Yes, as he should, because he is a child.
Yes. Back home, Gemma's worried about not being able to afford Joseph's trainers. As she goes to explain this to him, she stands on his tablet and shatters the screen. Oh, fucking great, says Joseph. Not only can't I get new things, you break my old things.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be on the floor, kid, under a blanket.
And he storms off to get a very angry bath. I'll go get the sellotape, says Bernie, which I thought was just genius.
That was hilarious.
All right, sellotape time. Bernie goes to see Dev about getting some scraps. Dev promises to set up some garbage out the back labelled Bernie's bin food. Dev likes this tenacious side of Bernie, doing anything for a family. And so the two of them winch. Proper winch.
Proper winch.
Not just Christmas winch.
Yes.
Proper winch.
Yes.
On Wednesday, Chesney is writing to the school so Joseph can borrow a school laptop. Bernie is appalled. They're called crap tops for a reason. This is just one more reason for Joseph to get bullied. Well, I've written the letter now, says Ches.
But see, this astounds me, especially, after our pandemic years, because, there were lots of grants and stuff sent out to schools to get new Chromebooks for kids who are remote learning.
Yep.
So they should have upped it, because the way that they talk about this is not that he has to use a school laptop. It's like a school desktop. He has to sit in the back at a school desktop computer. How poor is Bessie Street School?
And he has to do it in his vest and underpants as well. Poor Joseph. Between
this and having to pay for a field trip the other week, and another storyline that's coming up. This doesn't say much for the British public school systems.
English.
Well, England is part of Great Britain, yes?
Schools are devolved.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Yes, because Scottish schools are so much better.
They have a very good reputation.
Yes, from all the lovely stories you've told me about growing up and your days at school, smoking out the back.
Yeah. I'm not saying that my school was particularly good,
Stealing
but schools
TVs.
in general. So, what I'd like to focus on, though, is the fact that Chesney's written a letter. Joseph is appalled. Bernie is appalled. Mm-hmm. Chesney kind of comes round and sees that, there's reason to be appalled here. But he's going to send a letter anyway because he's written it now.
Right, and because the kid needs a tablet for school? I
think he uses his tablet.
Why are they using tablets at school with no keyboard? What? Where are the Chromebooks or the tiny laptops?
And they have to do
tablet.
all of this in their vest and underpants as well. So Bernie meets up with Dev, who's due to meet Clint later to hand over the reward. Dev's dick seems to be put out a joint when he learns that Bernie and Clint have a bit of a history together. So he's fairly blunt when Bernie asks for a hookup later. Maybe's aye, maybe's no, says Dev.
Oofed.
Meanwhile, Hope checks to see if Joseph has bought his trainers yet. Joseph doesn't feel right about using the money and thinks Ches will find out. In that case, can I have your cash, says Hope.
Which is a very Hope thing to say, but also, come on, Hope.
And then Scottish Mindy from the Weather Gazette turns up to interview Chesney about Joseph's disappearance. She'd also love to update the readers on the quads. The readers loved the quad stories.
Right.
It's the quad father.
It's the quad father.
Chesney tells her to fuck off, but Bernie invites her in for a cuppa, reckoning there might be a payday here.
I'm glad that they use different journalists this week, and it's not just the one who's been on constantly lately. It's this one.
Chris.
And, yeah. So we don't see Chris. We see two of the other. All of them ladies. No men go into journalism.
Lady reporters.
No men go into journalism except for Daniel.
To use their wiles to get the story.
Ooh.
So Bernie and Chesney.
I don't know what that means.
No idea. So Bernie and Chesney. They answer Mindy's questions, and it comes out that Bernie and Clint are old friends and will be turning up to Dev's later to collect his reward. Mindy also manages to establish Dev as Bernie's partner, and once she has her story, she reveals that they don't pay for stories, only features. Maybe establish that before talking to them, Bernie. So Mindy interviews a very happy Clint. She wants Dev and his partner in the pic too, but Dev is still butthurt about Bernie shagging Clint, so says that she's not his partner, and with her tail between her legs, Bernie sadly slinks off. Dev, though, is very keen to get in the photograph.
Right, yes, he even does a point at Chesney thing. Like, look, it's the quad father.
Mm-hmm.
His kid went missing. Look,
That's how you know that someone is really comfortable in a photograph, as if they're pointing at something, preferably someone else, who is less comfortable.
And especially if you're pointing, like, with a gun, with their thumb up, instead of just pointing. When you have your thumb up like this and you're pointing at somebody, that's real confidence.
Right. Thank you for demonstrating thumb up. How that changes the picture. Dev finds her in the Rovers and she is furious that he's disowned her again. He claims that he doesn't know where he stands with her because she's always quick just to call him a pal or a mate. But this cuts no dice and Bernie leaves. Then Joseph gets home in a bad mood. The teacher sent him to the back of the class with all the ancient computers. And Callum was quick.
Desktops.
You just imagine cobwebs all over them and
like
smell that there's a mouse's nest
like
somewhere in here getting burnt.
Like the big chunky monitors.
Oh yeah.
Or like those iMacs from the 90s with the clear
The
colored
Bondi blue ones.
Yes.
I coveted the Bondi blue ones.
I wanted an orange one so bad when I was a kid.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to get one.
Me neither.
I was thinking more just rather than it being a colour screen, it would just be one of those green tube ones.
Right.
You know, that everything's a shade of green on it.
And he can only play Oregon Trail on it.
Minesweeper. Was it Minesweeper?
Minesweeper.
That's a thing. Yeah. So he's sent to the back of the class and Callum was quick to call him a povo again. Not even the thought of a bath or tinned tomato sandwiches is enough to put a smile on his wee face. With everyone else occupied, Joseph takes the money from his bag and is putting it in the house money pot when Bernie walks in and sees him. Can I not catch a fucking break here, says Joseph. Bernie thinks he's stealing, but Joseph was putting money in. She demands to know what's going on. Isn't this lovely of Joseph?
Yes.
He knows how desperate for money
the family is.
Because they always are.
Right.
So he has
Even
this
though we have
£100.
3 adults with full-time jobs.
And he's trying to sneak it in here, sneak the money in, thinking that nobody's going to know. There's £100 that I didn't know existed. So Clint is at Dev's where, after a fashion and some ineffective bargaining to get £500 in cash from the till, Dev executes the transfer. Bernie sticks her head in, angry and demanding a word with Clint.
I'm impressed Clint has a bank account.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the issue, is that he doesn't have a bank account because he doesn't pay taxes because he's an anarchist.
Mm-hmm. Did you see how Dev transferred the money? It was by hitting the space bar on his laptop. I think that's what did it. Clint plays dumb, but he has to come clean. He didn't find Joseph after all, but he did find him on the way home, and he did make sure that he got home. So
Right,
technically
yeah.
speaking, he did do something.
He did help.
He insists that he made sure that he got home, so his conscience is clear. Yes, says Benny, let's see if the cops agree with that. And she heads off until Clint offers her half. He thinks that there isn't a victim here. Everyone's a winner. Benny says Clint is a thief, and she isn't, and so she leaves him to it. Benny walks in to find Chesney looking for a second job to help make ends meet, and also to sell his car. Gemma thinks that she needs Chesney in the house to help every now and again, and she needs the car to go and do her big shopping stuff. Benny slinks out, looking like she may have changed her mind about going halfers. So Dev finds Bernie on Maxine's bench, sending a text to help Gemma and Chesney. Dev thinks that they need to talk. So they go to the bistro. Dev has found out that despite being skint, Bernie has won a bid on a tablet for Joseph. Dev apologises for earlier and would like to call her his partner. They don't work on paper. Damn right they don't work on paper.
They really
but
don't.
paper isn't worth the paper it's written on, says Dev. They click, and Bernie agrees with a smile as she ignores a shifty-looking Clint at the bar.
They click because the show is running out of single people.
Well, and there are people who click less. He's right, this shouldn't work on paper. This shouldn't work on paper. I kind of like the two of them together.
I do too. You know, it feels like the show just, as I said, kind of shoved two single people together because we're running out of single people. But they do work.
And it's like they're
in a
taking
fashion.
Bernie seriously in the exact same way that they're not taking Mary seriously.
Yes, which is nice.
That a woman
Kind
of a
of.
certain age finds
Right.
romance
Yeah.
that we're not allowing Mary to have.
Right. Yeah. Because Mary and Dev would make sense because Mary has lived in Dev's house for a long time and helped raise his children, and she practically sees them as already as her children. So,
But I think therein lies the problem, that she looks at that whole unit as being her family.
right.
So therefore, her and Dev would be a bit yeek. Anyway, this brings us on to this week's hard debate.
Bum, 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 bum.
There is 32,000 floating around on the street. So where do we think is ultimately going to end up? Is it going to be Hope's Sweetie Empire? $8,000 each for the quads. In other words, Joseph gets fuck all out of it. Phil with 2L's roof. Or 320 pairs of trainers.
I picked the Sweetie Empire.
And you were correct to do so. That
Yeah.
won with 33.3% of the vote. $8,000 each for the quads got 31%. Phil with 2L's roof, 28.6%. And 320 pairs of trainers at 100 quid each, 7.1%.
You know, it kind of feels like whatever is on the bottom of the list gets the fewest votes. That like people see something else that's funny or that they like and they click before they finish reading the whole list. Even though it's only 4 things. It should be
tend to
5,
try
Twitter. Fix it.
I agree. I tend to try and make the last one the kind of jokey one. And sometimes it wins, and sometimes it doesn't.
Right. Well, the Sweetie Empire is kind of jokey as well. They're all kind of jokey, aren't they?
Phil with 2L's roof.
That's not really funny. That's kind of just thrown in.
Fizz getting her hands on it.
Yeah.
Because this seems like a conveniently large amount of money that she could use to
Right.
put a down payment on something.
No, but don't you remember that house is worth $175K?
Oh yeah, there's no mortgage to pay off, so
No.
that's all profit.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to Friday. Gemma has lost Carys's trousers. Ginger Bryn is silent on the matter. Bernie comes in to learn that the social will be coming round later and suggests that now she's back with Dev and has something to celebrate, she can take everyone out for tea. No one is in the mood, and Gemma is a bit sus of where Bernie suddenly has money for that, and she pretends that she got a raise as well as her hole from Dev.
Right.
Nice to see.
Which wouldn't necessarily be ethical, but never mind.
Nice to see another quad.
Yes. Yes,
or was
I
it
was
the
going to
same
say
quad with the hair combed differently?
it's not because Alad's not ginger. He's got blonde hair.
Yeah.
So that is a different kid.
Not babies.
No.
They're two.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
Right.
That ridiculous storyline in the cable car.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
Yes, it was.
Eesh. At Nina's Rolls, Bernie and Dev drive Roy mental by arguing over who gets to pay for their coffees. Bernie tells Dev how worried she is about Ches, and he reckons he can help with a nice big bag of best before groceries that he was going to throw out anyway. So Dev comes along to the house with 2 bags full of stuff that was going to get chucked. There's tonics and everything. Gemma's eyes practically pop out of her head.
That waivers package, though, did not look like a Tunnocks waivers package. It looked pink, not red and gold.
Yeah, I don't think that was the package that she pulled out. Chesney comes in
I like that.
and is furious about this. He doesn't need Dev's charity, so he sends Dev packing, much to Gemma's ire.
Yeah, and mine.
Just as the
Fuck you,
electricity goes out.
Chesney.
It's her wee face.
Fuck you.
Her wee face just drops.
Just let Gemma have some waivers.
Oh, my biscuits.
Right? Just let her have some joy, Chesney. She's obviously not getting any from you.
Gemma chases after Dev and takes the bags back, but Chesney is right behind and snatches them back from her, and they spill onto the cobbles. The pack of Tunnocks caramel wafers falling at the feet of the bloke from the social. Is this a good time? He asks.
Yes.
It's been a bad day, says Bernie. Gemma says they usually spend most of the time hugging each other.
Which wouldn't be creepy at all.
No. Chesney loudly declares that he works his fingers to the fucking bone for this family. Calm down, says Bernie. Fucking do one, says Ches. In the house, the social worker guy thinks there's a risk that Joseph will run away again, albeit low. Everyone seems to be struggling, and Joseph feels like an outsider from what he said. So he recommends a volunteer to come and support them. He leaves, and Chesney tells how he really feels. It's impossible to give Joseph the attention he needs because of the quads. This isn't the quads' fault.
No.
And also, the quads are yours.
Right.
Because the way that he seemed to be pitching this was,
Right.
this is all Gemma's fault, basically.
Right, yes. Because it could never be Chesney's fault.
Right.
He's so loathsome.
He really
Human
is.
being. We should have known from that very first time he hit himself with a brick.
Right. In the pub, Bernie meets Clint, who announces that he's bought himself a fancy camper van. All Bernie wants to do is the right thing by her family. So later, Joseph comes down from his bath to make sure that he's not in trouble and no one's going to prison. Gemma goes to pick up the quads from Paul and give Ches and Joseph some quality time on their own to play Thunderbirds. I love you, Gemma.
Thunderbirds go.
I love you, Gemma, says Joseph. I love you, Joseph, says Gemma. I love you too, says Chesney. And
then,
that's the end of that story.
And then Gemma leaves with the quads, and Joseph shouts, "Thunderbirds go!" Which was adorable. Thunderbirds is like a cartoon from the 70s, isn't it?
It's
Or
a
the
what?
80s?
It's a what?
Isn't it a cartoon?
It's a what?
It's a live action show, isn't it?
It's a what? It's a puppet show. They're all puppets.
That's right. Yeah, but it's not a show that's
Cartoon.
on anymore.
He was watching it earlier on. You saw
Right.
Thunderbird 2 taking off.
Right.
Thunderbird
But
2 was my favourite.
are those like video cassettes that he's watching?
It looks like it was a VHS, yeah.
Yes.
Well, which I guess is in keeping.
That's really cute, though, that he's into Thunderbirds.
See, Thunderbirds never really goes away. It always comes round again. Give it 10 years and it'll be the biggest thing once more. And it used to be thanks to Blue Peter, because Blue Peter would make Tracy Island out of like discarded syringes and bits of cardboard and sticky back plastic. And that would get all the kids really into Thunderbirds again.
Right.
So Thunderbirds never really goes away.
Yeah. I was going to say it's like, you know, our kids watching G.I. Joe and Thundercats, but our daughter walks around in a fedora and listens to
Jazz trombone.
Frank Sinatra records on vinyl. So I don't know if we're and all our crushes are men 50 years and older, except for Andrew Garfield. So maybe we're not the best.
Just pick your battles. So Joseph is adorable.
Yes. And gets more airtime and more acting time, and I like that. You know,
yeah,
I like
last week isn't a fluke.
No. Yeah, it's good. You know, and it seems like all the kids get their moments to shine practically this week, except for, I guess, Hope and Ruby, and
No, Max. He's not really a kid though.
Max.
Is he? No,
Yes,
I guess he's a kid.
yes. If we're counting Amy and Asha,
That's true.
as kids, then Max is still a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And Max's sister, what's her name? Lily.
Yeah. Lily's still
Haven't
recovering
seen
from
Lily.
that time that she nearly killed Sam.
Or that Sam nearly killed her, you mean? Because she was
Oh, yes,
she was
yes.
the one choking on the lolly.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh, dear.
Bernie is, she's had her ups and downs in the show, and to the extent where they had to send her away for a couple of months and then bring her back kind of reinvented.
Right.
In a much better way, where she was... We'd kind of decided what she was going to be now, because you remember at the start she wasn't one thing and she wasn't another thing, and she was trying to be like,
All
too many
things.
and a bit of a rogue and a bit of a
Hippie.
scoundrel and the hippie and the star child and all that. And she's a bit more grounded now.
Yes.
But she's so desperate to try and do the right thing for her family.
Right.
It's kind of reminiscent of Evelyn a little bit now that she's got her feet under the table. It's all about putting money into that tin,
Yes.
a la Bread from the 1980s.
Yeah. Oh, don't even talk about Bread. We'll get to Bread in another storyline. But
Yes, we will. A different kind of bread.
But yeah, it's interesting because you can tell that Chesney's upbringing, while he wasn't
It wasn't
born,
great.
it wasn't great, and he wasn't born in a mansion. It was better than Gemma's, at least financially wise. You can tell that Gemma and Bernie know, kind of the ins and outs of being so desperately poor that you're not necessarily ashamed to take a handout from a friend.
Right.
It's not like some stranger knocked on the door and handed them something. Dev is practically family.
Right, and that's what he said. That he doesn't think of Ches as a son, but he thinks very, very fondly of him.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's got Chesney kind of running his empire
All
for him.
three of them work for Dev, so it's more or less his fault that they're so skint.
Right. But
Because-
yeah, he comes round with the bag of groceries. Look, I'm throwing these out.
Right, and it's not like they've gone bad, because they
No.
haven't gone bad at all.
No, they're just at their best before date.
Right.
And people think best before means bad after, and it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It's not like, what Bernie was talking about, having to eat the mold off the jam because it was medicine. Or
Right.
eat the mold with the jam instead of scraping the mold off the jam, which
Yeah.
is what you should do.
Get your penicillin.
Right.
Yeah. Chesney's a dick. I think that's a TLDR on that one. Okay, our next storyline this morning is Viral
said
Summer.
TLDR.
I did.
You're
I'm
so
down
up with the kids.
No, down with the kids. Remember? Smashing that subscribe button. Pissing on the bell. Viral Summer. On Monday, Ash and Addie meet Summer at the bus stop and chat about the upskirt thing. Amy comes along and announces that she's done research and there's no shortage of girls who've been photoed, groped or verbally abused at school. Kind of shocking. Something has to be done. Summer doesn't want any attention drawn to her situation because of Oxford. But Amy looks difficult to dissuade. So later at school, Addie reckons Amy has gone full Greta Thunberg as she paints Mr. Osborne as a fanny. Stop protecting sex offenders on the school wall. Mrs. Crawshaw comes along, is not amused and drags Amy away to call her parents. Amy's parents, not Mrs. Crawshaw's parents. They're likely dead.
Oh, no.
Tracy has been called to the school for a dressing down from Crawshaw. Tracy is on Amy's side to begin with, thinking something should be done about these spotty virgins upskirting girls at school. Max, Crawshaw is unmoved and Amy is suspended. Later, Amy and Tracy get back to the street and tell Summer, Ash and Addie that she's been suspended. Tracy gets told into Summer, saying that she's causing no end of problems with her family. Why didn't she just grow a pair and report the fucking incident in the first place?
Yes,
There are procedures for this sort of thing after all.
there is.
So Amy meets up with the gang later at Speed Daal and Summer comes in to announce that she's taken a stand and posted an open letter on Instagram. And at that point I'm like, almost like throwing something at the screen. I've written an open letter and I've posted it on Instagram.
Go.
What the fuck?
Why has she not gone to Mrs. Crawshaw and said, "Hi, yes, this has happened to me. I'd like to report this." Instead of, I mean, the open letter is fine, but
No, it's not. It's fake action.
also go and report it.
Right.
do something more than just write a letter on Instagram, because even if you tag the school, there's a possibility that the school's not going to see it, or the school is going to have it taken down.
Right. No one's going to read this except if it's in a soap. So anyway.
Right. Yeah. There are too many words in it. There are far too many words in it. Nobody reads anything on Instagram. Instagram is pictures. Did she write a letter and then take a picture of the letter and then post it?
Yes. Either way,
Instagram is not the place for this.
This is all big wows. And then she has the audacity to be worried that this is going to affect her place at Oxford. Fucking hell, Summer. Jesus.
And Amy says, no, this is how people get into college these days,
right,
by posting things on social media and protesting stuff.
On Wednesday, Summer, whose nightwear choices are about as hideous as her daytime ones, gets up to find Billy cock a hoop. He announces that her open letter to the school on Instagram has inexplicably gone viral and been shared 10 billion times. He's so proud of her.
Yes. I like her strawberry pajamas, though.
Summer goes round to see Amy, who is well impressed. It's like, I'm just surprised that she doesn't go to bed in dungarees. Summer goes round to see Amy, who is well impressed. Tracy is thrilled that Summer finally got off her arse and did something, but not really. Then Summer gets a text from Miss Crawshaw, who's on her way to see her right now at the flat, so Summer and Amy head off. So Miss Crawshaw takes note, it's Mrs., I think it's Mrs., isn't it? Takes note of Summer's account and promises to take it to the governor's meeting, where, if Brian can stop vomiting on them for 5 minutes, they will make a policy change. Oh, and Amy... Yes, Miss Crawshaw, you're still suspended. Pig's tits, says Amy.
Right. Because she did deface school property. That's why she got suspended. It's not the message. It's how she delivered the message that's the problem.
She did that graffiti on Monday. It was still there on Friday. Amy and Summer get back to number one just as they both get a text with a new school policy. Girls are advised to wear shorts under their skirts. Summer calls this victim blaming. Amy wants to take the protest to the next level and fuck their uni placements. Summer worries that fucking her uni placement will affect her placement at uni. Bring this school to its knees, screams Tracy, who is also there and appalled.
Right, and I'm appalled as well. That is a bullshit thing.
Yeah.
If it... And
it's sadly, though, it's very believable.
It is very believable. Again, our daughter has to do a fingertip test in order to be able to wear shorts to school. And
that's to wear shorts.
Yeah.
Just, jeez, really?
Right.
Not a skirt.
Yeah.
To wear shorts.
Right. Yeah. So it's believable, but it's just, you'd think that they would have put something else in there about we're looking into it and we're going to find the guys who did this, instead of just, we advise girls to wear shorts underneath their skirts.
Yeah. Well, we find out that there's been a little bit of a clash in communication here.
Yes.
On Friday at school, Mrs. Crawshaw decides to sit in on Daniel's next lesson. They chat about the upskirt and stuff, and Daniel reveals that he thinks the school could be doing more. Crawshaw insists that the shorts thing was only meant to be a short-term fix until they work out something more permanent. All right, says Daniel helpfully. Daniel's pupils don't come in after the bell, so he and Crawshaw go outside and find the class have taped over their mouths with black duct tape and are carrying pithy placards, demanding action and refusing to go back to class. Daniel slinks off and tips off the Weddy Gazette. Meanwhile, Amy drops a card revealing basement, medicine, pavement, government, and Merry Christmas.
Do you think lots of people are going to get that joke, that it's a Bob Dylan video?
I think one person's going to get that joke, which makes it worthwhile.
Yeah. And I am that one person.
But what's the Merry Christmas at the end? Because that's not from the Bob Dylan video, is it, Helen?
No, that's from Love Actually.
Yes, it is. So see, there's a twofer there. There's a twofer joke
One
in
of
that
the
one
worst,
joke.
One of the worst scenes in the terrible movie.
Yes, it is.
One of the worst scenes in a,
and it's a
terrible movie.
It's a terrible scene.
Terrible movie.
In a terrible movie.
It's almost like John Cusack in Say Anything, lifting up that boombox in a community, in a neighborhood, and blasting it outside the house of a girl who's already rejected him.
Right.
God, how did any men survive the 80s as decent human beings?
Later.
Or the 90s?
Say it properly.
How did any men from the 80s or 90s The 1990s.
There we go. Later, Daniel tells Crawshaw that the kids need a pledge, something tangible, maybe a consent workshop. And just at that, the Weather Gazette shows up, so Crawshaw follows Daniel's advice and off the cuff pledges that everyone will go through a consent workshop and she'll be accountable and Amy isn't suspended anymore. Huzzah, said the kids.
Yes. And this is not Chris from the Weather Gazette as well. It's
Uzi? Umi?
Suki.
There we go.
Suki.
Our last name Suki as well?
Yes.
The young crew go to celebrate their win at Speed Daal. Daniel comes in and congratulates them, making sure that he says enough so that they assume that he was the one who tipped off the press.
Shut up, Daniel.
Right. He hasn't seen anything yet, says Amy, ominously. And that's as far as we get with that this week. I enjoyed this storyline, though.
I did. There were lots of token mentions of feminists of yore.
Right.
Like Tracy hilariously telling Amy that she doesn't want her to get trampled by horses at the races.
Billy's at it as well. He calls Summer Manchester's own Emily Pankhurst.
And then
who's
Summer has to
from
point
Manchester.
out that Emily Pankhurst is from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, like you, I'm really just tired of people writing things online on the show and them instantly going viral.
It needs to stop.
And
it's
not just a Coronation Street problem.
No.
It is a movie and TV problem. I mean, one of the issues that I had with Don't Look Up is that they say, "Oh, nobody watched your segment on this television show, and yet you've become an internet meme overnight."
Right.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, well, you can't be both.
No, you can't be both.
Right. Yeah, I think they just know how to... We've joked before about their SEO reach.
Right.
And I think it's still true.
Yeah.
I mean, for onesies, you're right, the method of communication of this through Instagram doesn't seem to be the best place for it. To just go and speak to the headmaster.
If she did a video as opposed to an open letter,
right,
that would make sense on Instagram, because Instagram is a visual
the phrase
social
open
media.
letter, though, just makes you roll your eyes.
Right,
It?
yeah. That's
just,
something you send to the New York Times,
right,
Summer.
Right. But I think it's a really worthy storyline. I think that is as an education piece. This is great. I don't think they're making so much of a big deal that that's what they're doing.
Yeah, they're not doing it for like shock value.
No,
which they have done with so many other storylines of young women getting sexually abused in some way.
Right. This has been done for the right reasons, and I thought that the visual of all the kids standing with their
tape
faces,
over their faces,
their mouth taped over, was really effective. And gave me a little bit of goosebumps, and has given me a little bit of goosebumps thinking about it. So from that point of view, I really liked it. It made me annoyed with Summer, which I quite enjoy being annoyed with Summer, and it made me annoyed with Daniel, which makes me happy because I like being annoyed with Daniel. And Crawshaw is kind of a fun character because she's the assistant head, so she's not the ultimate head, but she seems to be the one that's getting involved in everything. Because
she's the whipping boy.
Having all these pupils outside their class and having the press turn up still wasn't enough to coax the headmaster or headmistress from his or her office.
Crawshaw is the whipping boy.
And yeah, I'm enjoying her continued involvement in some of these storylines. Let's move on then. Our next story this morning is Curry Wars 2, The Return of Curry Wars. On Monday, Alya and Zeedan drop into Speed Daal. Yasmeen is still in the mood, but Alya points out that this is still her place of work. Fine, says Yasmeen, but Zeedan, he can still fuck off. He don't work you no more.
No.
Then there's a wonderful scene in Speed Daal where Mary is picking up a takeaway for Tracy and explains in fairly detailed terms how she'd like to throttle her boss with her bare hands. Afterwards, Alya tells Yasmeen that she knows that she donated the money to Joseph's reward fund and how proud she is of her gran. If only I could do the same, says Yasmeen, waspishly.
Yes.
So she doesn't admit it here, but she doesn't deny it.
Right, which is in a minute. What is hilarious to me in this scene is that neither Yasmeen nor Alya nor Stu are appalled at what Mary's saying about Tracy.
Right.
Even Stu, who doesn't know Tracy yet.
Doesn't really know Mary.
No. Because typically when somebody walks in and says in gross detail about how they'd like to murder their boss, step by step.
Because Mary doesn't look like she's joking.
Yeah, no, she doesn't.
Because she isn't.
You'd think that you'd grow concerned. And yet.
Right. Later, Alya has looked at the work rota and spotted that she and Yasmeen aren't working together. Well spotted, says Yasmeen. Alya goes off with her tail between her legs, and Yasmeen finds a note left by Alya, and we don't get to see the contents of it, but it brings tears to Yasmeen's eyes.
And then she rips it up.
Your curry's shite. On Wednesday, Alya and Zeedan are searching for a flat. It seems that they think they have to share, which surprises me. It's like, isn't this a good opportunity for you to kind of branch out on your own, rather than being brother and sister sharing a flat?
Well, if Craig, who is a professional police officer, and Faye can't find a place on their own with just the two of them.
Yeah, but they're barely out of school. Alya and Zeedan are. And Zeedan came back with 50 grand in his back pocket.
Yeah, which he immediately transferred over to his family to take care of the thing with Alya getting scammed. I don't understand the economics of the street at all.
Zeedan learns that Homeless Stu is working on his own in Speed Daal, and Yasmeen has hired agency staff rather than employ him. So he's walking to Speed Daal when he sees some angry customers storm out, and nothing that Homeless Stu shouts after them is enough to coax them back inside. It turns out the agency staff didn't show up, and Homeless Stu is on his own in the kitchen. Zeedan quickly gets his chef
and in the
whites
front
on.
of the house.
He's doing everything.
Poor
He's the
Stu.
maitre d'.
He's the cashier. He's the waiter.
He's the
He's the
busboy.
cook. He's doing everything. That's impossible.
Zeedan quickly gets his chef whites on and helps out, despite Homeless Stu's protests that this isn't what Yasmeen wants. And with the afternoon rush survived, Zeedan hurries away before Yasmeen comes back, but it's too late. What the bloody hell are you doing here? So Yasmeen and Zeedan argue about Zeedan's money laundering exploits loudly, that Homeless Stu picks up, and he says, one of the times Homeless Stu says, I think I better just leave you two to it.
Yes.
Zeedan gives Yasmeen a hard time for leaving Homeless Stu on his own and putting this feud ahead of the family. Oh, and by the way, Homeless Stu fancies you. Leanne's arrival quickly ends the argument and they go their separate ways. Later, Homeless Stu apologises to Yasmeen for letting Zeedan in the kitchen. He offers Yasmeen his ear if she wants to talk about it. Yasmeen laughs but tells him that she needs to get on, which wasn't a no.
No.
But Homeless Stu seemed to take it
And he
as
said,
such.
okay, well, I'll see you later at home. Because remember, he lives with her now.
Right. Leanne follows Zeedan to Nina's rolls and offers her ear to help because she's fucking nosy. She also offers him a job at the bistro, but he thinks Yasmeen is angry enough without him going to work for the rivals.
Well, and also because she has an attachment to Zeedan
Yes.
and Alya through their dad.
Yes. The
Who is-
dead dad.
Who is now dead. Yes.
Yeah.
And who she mentions. She offers him a job. And he turns it down.
I said that.
Well, I know. He turns down. He's been complaining that there are no jobs on offer, that there are no jobs anywhere. And yet, when one is just put in his lap, he refuses it because he seems to think that Speed Daal and the bistro are competitors.
Well, Debbie tried to make it out that they were, remember?
Right, but they're not because they really don't serve the same kind of food. And one is a bit more casual than the other. It would be fine. I don't think this is going to make Yasmeen even madder.
Well, we're never going to find out, but I think he should be just at the point now where, well, tough. He needs to make a living.
Right. Just take the job, Z. Mm-hmm. Take the job.
You know, and that gives that little bit of separation where the family aren't living in each other's back pockets all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They live
Some
with
of that
each other,
distance
they
will be
walk,
helpful.
right?
Yeah.
But no,
No.
he didn't. Do you think Yasmeen is going to end up forgiving them? I think she's close to forgiving Alya.
Yeah. I think she'll forgive Alya a lot faster than she'll forgive Z, which is good because that's how it should be.
But then you know what's going to happen.
What?
Oh, I don't believe that you really want to know what I think about that.
I do. I do, sincerely.
I think... now I'm sure of it. So I'm just going to spite you and tell you anyway. I think Yasmeen is going to find out that Alya murdered, in inverted commas,
Right.
Hashim.
Allowed Hashim to die.
Yep, which is different.
Right. Than murdering.
Right. Still illegal.
Just like Emma and Faye did not murder Ted.
Well, at least he didn't die in front of them.
Right. That's true.
It's a little different.
He died off camera. In his chair.
Yeah.
Politely.
Yeah, very politely. What a lovely man. He died so politely.
Yes. Don't mind me. I'm just going to sit in my chair and die off camera, as opposed to Hashim, who bursts in, makes a big deal out of it, and then dies.
Yeah, I was going to make a little video contrasting, spoiler for this episode, but Tim's heart attack and compare it to Hashim's. But
It wasn't really a heart
Tim's wasn't a
attack,
heart
though.
attack, so that's why I didn't do it. Because it was an angina attack. Well, again, we're going to get to that later.
And caused by a panic attack.
Move on then
That was a good panic attack that we'll get to.
Yeah, not now, because first of all, we've got to talk about Craig's rear end window.
Do we have to?
Yes, we do. And I need to say this up front.
Do you think Colson Smith has seen Rear Window?
Do you think the writers have seen Rear Window? Despite the fact, right, Craig being a policeman, and you know, we address this within the storyline, but he's not a policeman, right? Just, let's say it, he's just not a policeman. And his relationship with Faye is dreadful. So therefore, he's not really a character that I've warmed to particularly. He's kind of annoying, more than anything. I really like this. I really like his fascination with this crutch. It brings me so much joy.
What I don't understand is why the writers thought now is the time to write a storyline about what everybody was doing during the pandemic, during lockdown.
Right.
Now is the time to make bread gags.
Right. Oh, I enjoyed that as well.
2 years after people were locked down and making sourdough all the
But
time.
hey, you know what? What am I doing? Suddenly started doing again. I'm making bread again.
Right, yeah. But you don't have a sourdough starter. You use a bread machine.
I use the bread machine just for making the dough.
Right.
Just because I'm lazy. It does a better job of it. But yeah, it's
But still, you're a real human being.
both true. I'm not pretending to be a policeman.
No.
Although I do have good chemistry with Faye. So, let's get started then. On Monday, at the young crew in Tyrone's flat, Faye tells Emma that she's not been in the mood for her hole recently, and Craig has been sitting at the window spying on people and making bread, and hobbles Craig with a set of binoculars because now he's creepy as fuck. Faye seems concerned for Craig's sanity as he watches Cerberus do a shit in the street, but then he panics and demands that she calls the police. There's a man down there attacking Mary with a sword. The police and Craig arrive on the scene and it turns out to be just a rehearsal for the Pirates of Penzance. It's called Acting Coulson. It's called Acting Craig. I love you, Coulson. Craig's co-worker thinks Craig needs to find himself a hobby rather than spying on simple weird people.
Is he the one who mentions knitting?
Yeah.
That he should take up knitting?
Yeah.
And another thing people did in lockdown.
Right. Craig takes up residence on the couch again as Faye begs him to stop baking bread and get himself a hobby because her knickers are digging into her now.
Right, and then
that was pretty funny.
And then she says the word macrame in the oddest way I've ever heard anyone say macrame.
Macrame?
Yeah, macrame.
Yeah, we say macrame.
Yeah, but she doesn't even say macrame. She says macrame. She hits every one of those A's as if they're the most important A in the word. It's like that time that we were in Scotland and I was appalled at the way that a commercial for, I think it was Pantene, said Pantene.
Pantene.
Panatina.
Didn't say that.
That's what it sounded like to my American ears.
Didn't say that at all.
Or Jaguar.
Maybe she's born with it. Craig takes it. I've said that. Yeah, Faye begs him to stop baking bread and get himself a hobby. Am I getting on your tits, he asks. Fucking right,
yes, you
says
are.
Faye. It's Home Truths Week for
Craig.
On Wednesday, at the young
He's
crew...
appalled that she's honest with him. That's hilarious.
at the young crew in Tyrone's flat. Well, they've just moved into this flat. They've been there for like a week. And he's laid up on the couch for a week of it.
Right.
So it's not really a great introduction to living together, is it?
No. And the fact that he's constantly underfoot and just... I mean, what is Faye doing? Doesn't she work at the factory now?
She does. She's in sales.
Right. Why is she never there? Because she can go to her job if he's constantly underfoot.
Right. At the young crew in Tyrone's flat, Craig asks where Emma got the crutch from. Emma lies and says it was from one of the many charity shops in town. Craig is interested in it because it's been modified and has initials carved in it. Faye tries to distract Craig with a request for more bread, but Craig is determined to find out who owned that crutch. So he's spent his afternoon going around charity shops, but no one remembers anyone handing it in because it's just a crutch, and why would they remember that? And most of these places have like buckets that are full of crutches.
Right, yeah.
Like blossoms, like strange wooden and metal blossoms out of a vase.
Right, yeah.
Crutches in a bucket.
And,
that's kind of poetic, isn't it?
And typically, it really is. You should write that. But, and also, a lot of these charity places, the people who take the donations and sort the donations are not the people who are doing the retail bit.
Right. Tyrone calls Craig a fanny for even trying to find out who owned it, given he thought a samurai was attacking Mary. And this renews Craig's spirit, and he bets Tyrone 20 quid that he can find out who owned it. You're on. Oh, for fuck's sake, says Faye.
Yes.
Imran goes to see Craig because they're running buddies, so it does make sense. And they get chatting about the bet, and Imran suggests that Craig wastes police time by pulling in a favour and getting them to run some forensics on it. Maybe a Knockster print survived, and this will solve the mystery. And this is one of the several times that Detective Craig has to rely on Imran and later Roy for little hints as to how to take his investigation forward.
Right, yes.
Later, Craig goes to the pub to see Faye and Emma. He's crutchless and explains that he sent it to the lab for fingerprint analysis. Faye thinks this is a terrible waste of police time just for 20 quid, and everyone agrees with her, even Craig, but he does not give a solitary shit.
No.
On Friday, at the young crew in Tyrone's flat, Emma is beating herself up for not wiping the crutch for prints. In comes Craig, who announces the results haven't come back yet, but he is so excited. This will show everyone on the street who doesn't believe in them that he really is a policeman. He really is. So shut it.
Yes.
Craig goes to see Roy and asks his advice on the crutch initials, remembering Roy's mother's ring.
But not like that.
THS points Roy to Trafford Health Service. Maybe the hospital knows. Craig comes in his pants and runs off to investigate.
Right. Roy, you're a genius.
But don't tell Tyrone. Nothing that you don't understand about this anyway.
No.
Back at the flat, Craig has been able to confirm Trafford Health Services was right, and he's been on a forum where he's been put in touch with a person who deals with unreturned crutches.
Because of
That's
course
a thing?
he is.
That's a thing.
Because of course he is.
What's your job? I deal with unreturned crutches. Okie dokie.
Or just unreturned medical supplies in general.
£75,000 a year doing that. Oh,
I imagine there is somebody at the hospital who follows up with people who haven't returned medical supplies.
oh, get a fucking life, snaps Emma, hurting Craig's feelings, which I think we all appreciated. Then she tells him to wax his nostrils, and that's as far as we get with that this week. This was a fun story.
The fact that even Emma is like point blank telling him to get a life.
Right.
That's,
Emma, who doesn't have a bad word for anyone. Get a life. Wax
I mean,
your nostrils.
yes, she's stressed that he's going to find out about Ted, but still, it's... the thing that really irritates me about this isn't necessarily the forum with the...
That did annoy me.
It's the fact that somehow he was able to use police resources to get the crutch fingerprinted.
Yeah, taxpayers' money.
Right, yeah. And when somebody points out, isn't that against the rules? Well, yeah, but he says, well, yeah, but the guy's a mate, so he was able to do it. It's like, that's not how this is supposed to work.
But I do believe that that's how the police works. Favours for favours.
Right, yeah. Can you fingerprint this crutch for me? Because we're mates.
It's a old crutch. It's been in Tim's boot.
It's wooden.
He's been using it.
It's porous.
He's been using it. And also, fingerprint analysis isn't the thing that people think it is.
It really isn't. It really is not.
So it's just an awful way for this to go.
And I'm hoping...
And yet, I enjoyed this. And I know nobody else did. Because the stick that this storyline's getting on Twitter is incredible. Oh, Craig, stop going on about that fucking crutch. Seems to be the theme of it. It makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh.
I like puzzles. Do you?
Then get a Sudoku.
Right. I'm sure Peter has lots of them that you can borrow.
And a little
little
quilt.
shawl.
Right.
Because you're an invalid right now. Although he is eventually able to like walk without it.
Yeah. And
Finally.
He'd been wandering around about the precinct all week trying to track this thing down. So one has to assume that he's going to successfully track it down, right? That we're not going through all this for nothing. Surely he's going to find out who the crutch belonged to. Is he? Do you think he has to, right?
But it's really circumstantial evidence of,
But then what happens?
Right.
Because Craig now thinks that his girlfriend, in inverted commas, and Emma have killed Ted?
Well, that somebody has killed Ted and donated the crutch to the charity shop. But
no, because nobody donated anything to the charity shop.
Right, but Craig doesn't know that.
Did you hear Craig on Sofa Cinema Club this week?
Craig doesn't know that. He thinks that Emma got it at a charity shop.
Yeah,
so
but
he's
that
going
story's
to be
going to fall to pieces when he realises that it was Ted's.
No, why would it?
Because it doesn't make sense, because this was Ted's, maybe the T...
Right.
HS stands for Ted's name now.
But it doesn't.
I'm thinking maybe it does, because it begins with a T.
Right. But apparently this hospital does carve their initials into crutches. Because, a modern hospital is still giving out old wooden crutches.
Yeah, it doesn't. So that's not a thing.
Yeah, none of... This is... I don't...
But here we have a chance for... God, I was going to call Coulson again. Here we have a chance for Craig to decide what is more important here. Is it his relationship with Faye, or is it his job? Is he a policeman at the moment? And yes, he is. So if he doesn't...
Right, he's making a big deal about how nobody on the street takes him seriously as a cop.
Right.
Here's a chance for him to prove that he is a cop.
And send his girlfriend back to jail for murdering Ted, even though she didn't.
Yeah. All I know is Hitchcock is rolling in his grave. Moving on.
To Sinkhole Leo's awful housemates. On Friday at the pub. Weren't they deplorable? I fucking hated them. Fucking hated the pair of them. On Friday at the pub, Jenny asks Daisy to cover for her later because she's off to a gig in town, and I couldn't catch who it was that she was going to see with Sinkhole Leo. Carla comes in for a word with Jenny, but Jenny blows her off on account of her date with Sinkhole Leo. Carla looks like she's not too happy about this and fumes as she storms off.
Correct.
Later, Daisy's surprised when Jenny and Sinkhole Leo have decided to get their hole before the gig, and she kind of bumps into Daisy and Leo on the stairs through the back. Daisy tells Jenny about Carla's reaction earlier, but Jenny does not give a shit. At the last minute, just before they're about to leave, Sinkhole Leo announces that his housemates are coming in to meet her in 3 seconds' time, so get ready. They're as sickly sweet as you'd imagine, and we learn that the two of them are moving out of their house. We learn that Leo likes a Nerf gun war and other bits of stupidity, and Jenny looks like she suddenly feels very old.
Yes.
The housemates also announce that the female one is pregnant. So the talk turns to cooing conversations about babies.
It's so weird. She accepts the glass of champagne, but then lets it sit there.
Right.
And wait for somebody to say, why aren't you drinking your champagne?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, oh no champagne for me, thanks, just an orange juice. Because that's what pregnant ladies and alcoholics drink in the Rovers.
Right. Yeah. We'll get to that
and also,
a little bit later as well.
Just the way that they kind of treat Jenny. Like when she comes in and she's like, oh, you're so cute and this place is so darling.
Yeah. The fuck are you? Is what Jenny should be saying.
It's like this was the first time that I was like, oh, maybe Leo's not a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
That's what I've been thinking for a while.
Maybe this is something that he does. He dates these older women, and his friends find it hilarious, and that, it's some sort of game between him and his friends.
Yep.
About the old ladies he dates.
That's the vibe that I'm getting.
Yeah, I did not like it. And it's weird because I did not get that vibe from his friends that we met last week.
The rugby playing ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They seemed all right.
Yeah.
They weren't assholes.
Yeah. Rugby playing guys.
Right. I mean, neither one of them treated Jenny like...
No, but we
teddy
didn't
bear.
really get any extended introduction to them.
They did compliment the place, which in hindsight...
Yeah, there's some flags are fluttering here.
Yeah.
And they look like they might be red.
Yes.
So anyway, all this conversation about babies makes Jenny feel even older, and privately she tells Sinkhole Leo that she can never give him a baby. He says that he only wants her. Now how about we meet with my folks?
Yikes.
Let me think about this, says Jenny, and that's as far as we get with that. Yeah, I don't like Leo, and I don't like his mates, and I don't like his housemates. Taken against them. This pair were awful.
And Leo seems more and more immature as we go along. I mean, he's got like a good serious job.
He investigates sinkholes.
Right.
And he plays with Nerf guns with his housemates.
Yeah.
Who are awful
Why?
people. Right.
Yeah, there seems to be an immaturity there, like he's looking for a mommy figure.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sort of thing.
Or he's just ripping the piss out of her.
Or
It's a
both.
long way to
It
go.
could be both.
Right, it's a long way to go and an awful lot of effort to put in to make that happen, I guess. But
Yeah, this was the first time that I kind of got the vibe that you've been getting.
what age do you think Leo is?
See, I thought he was at least in his 30s, but the way that they're acting, like with the whole Nerf gun and stuff, makes me think 20s.
I thought 30s. I thought early 30s. So maybe there's 20 years difference between him and Jenny.
I thought at
'Cause
least
Jenny's
maybe
50.
35 initially, because again, he's a serious guy with a serious job,
Could remember he was going to be,
a professional job.
and he was also going to be a conceivable relationship for Daisy.
Right.
So I don't think he can be that old.
I don't know. I mean, Daisy can... It's a lot more societally. It's a lot more conceivable that Daisy would be dating somebody older than herself
Yeah,
than Jenny dating somebody younger than herself.
right.
I am more along the lines of there's something wrong with Leo than there's something wrong with Phil with two L's. So
I agree. Moving on then to our final storyline today is Tim's Health MOT. On Monday, Sally is searching for her keys in the morning, still angry with Tim about the training ground leak to Maria. Tim leaves quickly as Sally finds her wedding photo and broken frame just stuffed in a drawer. Peter and Tim nip into Nina's Rolls for breakfast. Peter is gobsmacked that Tim still hasn't told Sally, but Tim announces that he'll spill the beans after his pre-op meeting on Friday, and in the meantime he intends to make provisions for the fair Mrs. Metcalf upon the occasion of his demise, perish the thought. Peter is wearing a t-shirt with a number 2 on it. Devs.
yeah, did you see that Craig was wearing his Y sweatshirt again? It's hilarious.
Dev Sally bumps into Peter, and of course they get chatting about Tim's lie regarding the mysterious retiring cabbie from last week. Peter pretends that he didn't really know about Barry, and then pretends that he's forgotten his wallet and suspiciously runs away. Meanwhile, Tim goes to see George about arranging his own funeral.
Barry, played by Bill Hader.
The undertaker, who let's remember bought Eileen's funeral for her Christmas,
Who's dating Anna Kendrick, so
Thinks
you
this-
have to take her off your list.
thinks this is most peculiar, but invites Tim inside to discuss more. Why would I have to take it off my list? I fancied Susanna Hoss for most of my life, and she's been happily married to the guy that made Austin Powers the entire time. She's 63,
That's true.
I think, this week.
Yeah. All right, fine. Anna Kendrick can still stay on your list.
I remember being 15, and she was in her 30s, and thinking that was so old.
Susanna Hoffs we're
Yeah.
talking about, not Anna Kendrick.
When I was 15, when somebody in their 30s, that seemed old.
Yeah.
And now I'm nearly 50, somebody who's 63. Fine.
Yeah. That works.
It's just strange how time seems much more important.
When you're young.
Yeah. What an original thought that is. Better trademark that.
So you're okay with Bill Hader and Anna Kendrick dating now?
Yeah, I'm sure they make a lovely couple.
Yes. They're both funny.
Where did I get to?
I don't know. I distracted you successfully.
Oh, you didn't distract me as I was reading it because I've just powered through and ignored you. All right, so Tim's in speaking to the Undertaker about his funeral, and the Undertaker thinks this is weird, even though the Undertaker bought Eileen her funeral.
Right. I think it's telling that it was when I said that you had to take Anna Kendrick off your list that you finally stopped.
Yeah, don't be telling me what makes my list and what doesn't. On his way out, Tim thanks the Undertaker, and as they're chatting about songs to say goodbye to, Eileen pops out of nowhere, and now she's in on Tim's impending death.
Yes.
Tim swears Eileen to secrecy and then immediately goes off to arrange his will with Adam. So, the people now in on Tim's impending death are Aggie, Peter, the Undertaker, Eileen, and Adam, and only one of them is bound to keep stum about it. Sally sees
Which one?
Adam. Adam, he's got privilege.
That's true. Isn't there somebody else who knows too?
Well, the doctor. Curtis's doctor.
Yeah.
Sally
Dr.
sees,
Handley.
It's Curtis's doctor from now until eternity. Sally sees Adam take Tim up the office.
But not like that.
Thank you very much. Later, Sally tracks Adam down to the Rovers and demands to know why he was seen Tim. That's privileged information, Adam says. He's my husband, says Sally. Then talk to him, says Adam.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam.
This is not the first time that Adam's advice to people has been, well, talk to the person then. Keep us lawyers out of it. Sally stays on at the Rovers and gets wired into the Vino. She meets Kev and explains about her Tim woes and how she's worried that he's either having an affair or plotting a divorce. Kev can't believe this of Tim, thinking that both options are far too exciting for him. Sally's determined to find out what it is. Kev thinks maybe speaking to Tim would be a useful choice here.
And, Kev and Adam are right, but let's remember, Sally's been trying to speak to him about this for days.
This is true.
She has confronted him over and over and over and over again about this.
That was 4 and overs.
And over.
Later at Nina's Rolls, Peter is shocked to discover that Tim has now arranged his own funeral. Peter points out the number of people who now know about his situation, but Tim thinks the least he can do for Sally is wait until after the pre-op. Yes, says Peter, that is the very least that you can do. Tim gets home and Sally confronts him. She's not stupid and she demands the truth. Do you have a sandwich under your hat or are you having an affair? Tim removes his hat to reveal no sandwich.
Or are you Jack Nicholson and I can't handle the truth?
Sally's suspicious because usually at this time of the year, Tim likes his sexy time as it cuts down on the heating bills. Tim insists that he isn't having an affair, he loves Sally, and now, if you'll excuse me, I need a bath because I'm covered in vomit. Sally heads back to the Rovers and ends up getting pished as she chats with Abby about cheating Tim. Abby offers to get the drinks in. ABC, says Sally, anything but Chardonnay, and Abby is on the orange juice.
Yes.
So, is Abby on the orange juice because she's still pregnant, or is Abby on the orange juice because she is on the wagon? Because she gave up the drink, didn't she, when she gave up the drugs last time?
She did, but she does enjoy a beer now and then. She does ask Daisy if she has any non-alcoholic wine, which Daisy hilariously says, yes, it's called water.
Yeah, because that's grape juice.
Yeah. It's what she should have said. But
Yeah.
And initially I thought she was looking for some non-alcoholic wine to trick Sally.
Sally, right.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're meant to think.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that right now because it's not this storyline.
Okay. Abby firmly insists that Tim loves the bones of Sally and she's 500% sure that he's not having an affair. People said that about Kev, says Sally, who said that to Kev earlier this episode as well. They said that about Tyrone, just as Tyrone comes in and then immediately leaves. Abby would stake her left nut on Tim being faithful. If you don't believe it, get proof. So Sally goes home and puts a tracker on Tim's phone, just like Jenny did with Liz.
It's hilarious. You know, Tyrone hasn't really had a storyline of his own for a wee bit. But the times that he is in other people's storylines this week. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like the whole
Well, he's responsible for noising Craig up.
Sally,
Right?
yeah. That's hilarious. And then the whole Sally shouting Alita teeny weeny at him.
Right.
And he's like, you know what? Never mind. I don't need alcohol this much.
But this is the Tyrone that we see in Classic.
Yeah.
He's a little less world weary.
Right.
A little,
Yes, obviously.
A little sort of bright-eyed, and he's learning how to drive at the moment.
Aw.
But he thinks he knows how to drive because of all the cars that he's stolen in his life. Something that the instructor doesn't
Appreciate.
Right. But his little looks and his little expressions that say so much.
Is he giving looks?
It's very much the same as we're doing here. This is great Tyrone stuff.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that would make it better is if he was wearing his MSU t-shirt.
Yeah, I think we can forget about that now.
Hey, the Y sweatshirt came back.
Right. All I want is an ITV puffer jacket. That's all I want. On Wednesday, Tim and his new best mate Peter are having a cup of Nina's Rolls. Tim explains that Sally thinks that he's having an affair. Peter doesn't think that makes sense. He's going a long way for a shortcut, says Peter, who once more advocates the easiest and less stress option of telling Sally rather than maintaining his list of who knows what. Later, Sally's in Nina's Rolls checking up on Tim on the tracker app and runs off when she discovers that he's hanging out at Debbie's. Later, Sally's in Nina's Rolls checking up on Tim on the tracker app and runs off when she discovers that he's hanging out at Debbie's rape hotel. Rather than go to the rape hotel, though, Sally goes to see Abby. Abby's sure there's an explanation, but Sally wants her as backup. Abby's too busy, so Sally has to go on her own, rendering this entire scene unnoteworthy.
Right.
So Sally
finds... It's a good thing Abby wasn't able to come.
Right. Yeah, for future. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sally
but not like that.
So Sally finds Tim in the rape hotel and hides behind a plant, waiting for the fancy lady to turn up. She leaps out. Aha, she shouts. All right, Sal, says Tim. And he pulls out a champagne flute. Tim explains that he can't cope with 2 different types of milk in the fridge, never mind 2 women. He found the app on his phone and lured her to the rape hotel. The app works both ways. They'll get some champagne down your throat, and he promises to explain why he's still trustworthy.
Do you think they have almond milk or oat milk or goat milk plus regular cow milk in their fridge?
I think they've got semi-skimmed and full fat.
So they're both cow milk.
They're both from a cow.
You don't think Sally's jumped on the oat milk wagon?
No. She's on the 2% though. Tim promises not to keep anything from Sally, but before he gets a chance to explain what's going on, Sally doesn't know what she'd do without him. She can't imagine him not being in her life. She'd die if she found out he needed a triple bypass. More champagne? Asks Tim. And later, Sally tells Abby the good news. Tim had discovered her duplicity and conned her to the rape hotel for champers. Huzzah, says Abby. Sally goes home for tea, and then Shona pops up because she's been lingering about in the
shadows,
rovers, right, to tell Abby about how close Tim and Aggie have been lately. On Friday,
because remember, Shona saw them in the memorial garden.
Yes, which we thought was a strange thing to point out.
Yes, but now we know why.
On Friday, ahead of the pre-op, Tim is practicing his heartfelt apology for telling everyone on the street about his upcoming operation apart from Sally. Belter, says Aggie. Today's the day we tell her.
Finally.
At the factory, Sally is explaining about her encounter with Tim at the rape hotel to Carla. Carla has doubts that this was the setup that Tim insists it was, because Tim is that clever? What if he saw you coming? Abby, who doesn't work at the factory, is there too, and we learn from Sally's conversation with her that Sally hasn't deleted the app and can see Tim's at the hospital, presumably dropping someone off. Abby silently fumes. Back in the street, Aggie and Tim are talking about the terminology of the operation, and Aggie senses this is a bit overwhelming for him when he realises that his heart's going to stop, and so takes him back to hers for a cuppa.
Again, just go to Nina's Rolls for a cuppa.
Meanwhile, Sally and Abby are at Nina's Rolls. That's why I don't go to Nina's Rolls, because Sally's there. Sally checks the app again and discovers that Tim is at number 3, and Abby has to come clean and warns Sally that she thinks Tim is pegging Aggie. Abby explains her conversation with Shona, a reliable source if ever there was one, the hospital thing, and now number 3. What more proof does she need? But Tim And number 3 is having a panic attack at Aggie's just as Sally batters on Aggie's window. Aggie lets Sally in, and she tends
Keep
to
your
her
hands
husband.
off my man.
Aggie calls an ambulance, and Sally learns about Tim's health and triple bypass by Aggie's conversation with the 999 people. Aggie has to explain how she's been supporting Tim through numerous medical appointments. At the hospital, we learn Tim has had an angina attack brought on by panic. Sally wants to know how he kept this from her. No I love you, no goodbye, just gone. Tim says this is what he tried to protect her from. If he wasn't having open heart surgery, she'd punch the fuck out of him, she says.
Mm-hmm.
And later, Faye arrives and finds out Tim will be kept in overnight and his operation has been brought forward, and we're forced to realise for the first time that Faye has been kept in the dark about this too.
Yeah, that was... It was like, wait a second.
Oh yeah.
He didn't even tell his daughter.
Sally goes home to pack a bag for Tim. Eileen and the Undertaker visit, and it doesn't take long for the Undertaker to blow the secret that Tim has organised his own funeral and sorted out his will with Adam. He meant well, you should be proud of him, he says. He's picked some good music as well. Sally storms back to the hospital. She tells Tim how hurt she is that everyone knows about his operation apart from her. She thinks that he doesn't trust her, which means that he doesn't love her, and it also means that she can't trust him. She's betrayed and devastated and doesn't know how the two of them can get through this, like that time she discovered that he was already married.
Right.
He needs his Sal. Well, she's a long way from being here, she says, and she leaves the room and breaks down outside. And that is how we end this week's episodes. This was... We've
was
been
bound to
predicting this for
happen.
2 weeks, right?
And she doesn't even know, about the other people who already know.
Well, she doesn't know about Peter.
No.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
Right.
But
I don't think
still.
that's going to really be the straw that breaks her back at all, but still, there are more people still that she doesn't know about. So the
Right.
lie continues. And we've said this from the start of it. What's going to happen when Sally finds out?
Yeah.
And she's going to do this.
Yeah.
This was always what was going to happen. She's never going to be okay with this.
No, and it's funny that Faye forgives him so quickly as well, because you'd think Faye would be equally.
See, there was this little bit of
Because
edge between her and Sally again.
I know,
right?
and I was shocked when Sally comes in and she's all upset, and Faye goes, makes a snarky comment about it, the temperature getting lower in
Plummeting,
the
yeah.
room, and it's like, you're supposed to still be mad at your dad for not telling you as well, because
Right.
this is pretty huge. You'd be very upset if something happened to Tim and he didn't tell you, and you don't get a chance to, to grieve or to prepare yourself to grieve, or
Right.
prepare yourself for the possibility of having to grieve.
And this was a great bit about Sally's little
Yeah,
speech, was that
absolutely.
she has to be strong Sally now,
Right.
immediately.
Yeah, she doesn't get a chance
She
to
can't
grieve.
process it.
No.
She can't be upset. She can't
Right.
cry. And he's like, you can cry. I just want mass. And he
He's
doesn't,
not understanding.
He doesn't get that he's robbed her of that.
Yeah.
So she has immediately to be
Yeah.
swallowing back her emotions and her feelings to be strong
Right.
for him,
Yeah.
when she hasn't had a chance to deal with it herself. It's perfectly true
Absolutely.
and perfectly predictable that this is how Sally was going to react. Tim, nice but dim.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. And I mean, I can kind of understand some of the times that he was about ready to tell her and then doesn't, like with the whole Sophie thing. But, he really should have told her at the hotel, even when she said, I can't imagine life without you. Well,
Funny you should mention
funny
my
you
health.
should mention that, because,
Right.
there's this possibility. That should have been his wake-up call, that he needs to prepare her, not that he needs to continue to protect her.
Right.
Because what is he really protecting her from? He's not really protecting her from anything. Because he's still going to have this surgery, and he still could potentially die.
The thing about the surgery is, though, that it is now a very successful operation.
Well, no, because he hasn't had it yet. They've pushed it forward.
No, but this type of operation in general is a very successful operation.
Yes.
It has a very low mortality rate.
Especially for somebody as young as Tim.
But what it is protecting him from is something that would be far, far more dangerous to him.
Yes.
So this thing is a positive step to rule out the chances of having a potentially fatal heart attack at some point in the near future. So,
and the hiding it from her has caused him more stress than being honest would have, which has made more stress for his heart and for his body.
Right.
He's putting himself in danger.
yes, all this duplicity has...
Protect her from something that she's going to find out one way or another anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim, nice. You're right, Tim, nice but dim, because this is just, it doesn't make sense that you would go this far. And not one person has said, yeah, you're right to protect her from this information. Nobody says that to him.
So we're led to believe, and I can probably believe it, that he thinks that everyone else is wrong, that he knows Sally better than anyone else does. So therefore, what he's doing here is the right course of action. But even he realises it's the wrong thing to do. Even he realises that he has to tell her.
Right.
But is it that he has to tell her because at some point he can't not?
Right.
At some point he's going to be operated on in a hospital for a few days or a
Right.
week or whatever.
No, none of this. It's
Sally is right to be
upset.
to the point where she doesn't know how this is going to work for the two of them afterwards.
Moving forward, yeah.
And that's sad because...
Yeah, this is one of our favorite couples on the
we
show.
love the two of them. The two of them are great together. The two of them showed why they're great together this week.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's chemistry there.
Yeah.
When they do their little funny, sexy bit, it's believable.
And they have their little back and forth with their joking with each other. And,
Right. Yeah.
And it's adorable.
Yeah. They're a very sweet, lovely couple.
It's just... You've got to throw little bits of drama into otherwise happy people's lives.
Right.
To make it successful and to make it work and to give them this chemistry, I guess.
One would think that having to have a triple bypass would be drama enough without manufacturing this whole I must keep this for my wife thing.
Especially when we're not hot on the heels, but the heels are still somewhat warm from the whole...
I lied to my wife about being married.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give them a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh
well.
That was the week that was Coronation Street. What, pray tell, was your moment of the week?
See, this is difficult.
It's difficult.
Because I would say my moment of the week is the kids standing outside the school with tape on their faces, but we gave it to Amy last week.
We did. We did, Pat.
And I kind of regret that now because we could have given it to Joseph and Hope. And we're like, oh, we'll probably give it to Joseph and Hope next week.
That's right. We have...
When the opposite was true, we should have given it to Joseph and Hope last week so that we could give it to Amy and the older kids this week with the tape on their faces.
Well, we just gave it to really Amy on her own last week.
Well, Amy and Max.
I didn't mention Max.
And the others were there.
Yeah, but it was really
Amy.
Amy's fury that was so good.
We just love Amy.
Yeah, she's great. Do you know, I'm not against giving it to Amy and the young crew.
Or
Again, it was a very striking image, certainly.
Or Joseph putting his 100 quid in the tin.
Nah.
Because that was a very sweet and selfless thing for him to do. Yeah?
No.
Or Bernie confronting Clint. I think that would be more moment of the week if Bernie didn't turn around and take the money.
Correct. Yeah.
Because that was a really good scene and she was really good in it.
Yeah. Yeah, what happens afterwards kind of spoils it though.
Right.
Or is it something between Sally and Tim? I'm a little bit too angry about that to,
yeah,
to get that moment of the week.
Me too. Yeah. It's like I don't want to give anything positive to this manufactured storyline, no matter how good the acting may have been.
Yeah, which it was.
Which it was, yes.
Yeah, the fact that it's generated a reaction is a good thing.
Yeah. Joe does a much better job at, acting like something's wrong with his heart than lots of other people that have been on the show recently. But that's fine.
It was nothing, so it can't really be anything from the...
Oh, fuck it. It's the kids with the tape on their faces.
Thank you. There we go. That is our
Moment of the week.
It's such a striking image.
Yeah.
It was great.
I mean, it's not something that I haven't seen before in real life, but it's still a striking image.
Yep. And they won.
Yes.
So,
well,
yay for them.
Yeah.
Your boring moment of the week.
Summer's open letter on Instagram.
Jesus Christ. So it's the same storyline?
Yeah.
It's the same storyline with like a 15 minutes between the two of them kind of thing.
Right.
More or less.
It's the effective protest and non-effective protest.
Do you know, that's kind of poetic as well.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Or what should not have been effective protest, I should say, because apparently words on Instagram go viral.
Right.
Without a picture.
Yeah, and just to back up the whole moment of the week thing again, not that I think we need to. I think I've made it clear how important I think this story is. And I think doing these parts of it well help that.
Yes.
So just before we're about to take something away from it, just like to say that.
Right.
Because summer is our boring moment.
Do better, writers. Right. Do better.
Boring moment of the week.
Not everything goes viral on the internet.
Yeah. As I prove every day.
As I think we both prove every day.
Yeah. All right, shall we wrap this one up then?
Yes, please.
If you've ever covered your mouth with black duct tape and then gone viral, maybe think about your life choices, but drop us a line. We're the talk of the street at gmail.com and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. You can shout me and Helen a coffee by heading to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street. Check out the clicky section of voggle.co.uk for links to our merch store and YouTube channel. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes or your podcast provider of choice. Thanks for making it to the end of another episode, and we will be back next week with more
Talk of the Street.
The Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.